she's an extraordinary person. As soon as she walked in, it was like a light bulb went off and the sun was on her.
At 75, Richard Gere finally shared intimate details of his private life. His choice of words left fans in an emotional state as he confessed that she was the love of his life.
3,000 for 6 days. And Vivian, I will let you go.
She was the only woman who truly understood him and shared every part of his soul with him. This confession came after years of high-profile relationships and 3 marriages. This was unexpected and left fans with one pressing question. Who was this woman? And why was Richard Gere sharing this now, after all these years? Stick around as we uncover the truth behind the love that changed everything.
I would pretend I was a princess trapped in the tower by a wicked queen.
At 75, Richard Gere revealed the love of his life. Richard Gere, one of Hollywood's most enduring actors, best known for his role in Pretty Woman, has reignited public interest since he confessed that she was the love of his life. His unexpected confession stirred widespread discussion and once again placed him at the center of social media, gossip, and speculation. Many were shocked by his words, wondering if he should be speaking about love at his age, since he was no longer a young man, but well into his 70s. But Richard Gere cared little about public opinion as he spoke shamelessly about the woman he called the love of his life. But who was this woman? Though the world wanted answers, only a few were prepared for the truth he was about to reveal.
You made me a really nice offer. And a few months ago, no problem, but now everything is different and you changed that and you can't.
I am living one of the happiest stages of my life, Richard Gere admitted. Just days after coming back from a vacation in New York, Richard opened up about falling in love with a woman from Galicia. She wasn't like anyone he'd ever dated or married before, and his words caused a stir. People quickly turned their attention to his story with Alejandra Silva, the businesswoman and activist from Galicia, who, Richard said, completely changed his life. Despite their age gap of 33 years and all the talk that followed when news of their private marriage in 2018 got out, they managed to stay out of the drama and grow stronger. They became a quiet but solid pair, standing firm no matter what the public had to say. Fans were surprised, and whispers quickly spread that the union wouldn't last. After all, Richard had previously married 2 younger women, and both marriages had ended in divorce.
Got compliance involved, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. Chris. God damn it, Chris!
Why would this be any different? But as the world waited for the news of their split, something remarkable happened. Richard and Alejandra didn't fall apart. Instead, they flourished. With their children by their side, Richard appeared content. He was a changed man, no longer the elusive heartthrob of the 90s, but a man who had found true peace.
They weren't dead, just delayed. I bluffed a little bit.
You're very good at it.
Thank you very much. It's my job.
During the Barcelona International Film Festival, which marked their return to live in Spain, Richard opened up further. He recalled his first visit to the festival in 2017, 8 years earlier, during a sudden blackout that engulfed much of Spain. He had just arrived in Barcelona, preparing to load his luggage into a cab, when he was abruptly told he couldn't leave the airport. Panic set in. He thought he had done something wrong, but it wasn't that. It was just life, doing what it does, surprising us. And life did surprise Richard Gere in ways he never imagined.
I'm not the kind of guy who wants to throw money away. You want to start a business, you have to project a certain image.
What image?
Success.
Though the blackout left him uncertain about the city of Barcelona at first, he never knew he would fall in love with a woman from Barcelona, build a home there, and have children. Eventually, Richard Gere dreamed of becoming a Spanish citizen. When Richard declared his interest in one day becoming a Spanish citizen, it was more than a formality. It was a statement of love. He loved Alejandra Silva enough to move from the United States to her homeland. He loved her enough to want to belong to her world, to her culture, to her country. His love was not fleeting. It was real. His connection to Spain wasn't symbolic. It was rooted in a desire for family, belonging, and a life of shared values. But how did Alejandra Silva and Richard Gere first meet? Keep watching to find out. Alejandra Silva, a Spanish publicist and humanitarian, had known Richard Gere for decades. She first met him as a teenager, since he was a close family friend. However, it wasn't until 2014 that they reconnected when Richard attended an event at Alejandra's family-owned hotel in Positano. A mutual friend reintroduced them, and from that moment, the connection was undeniable. They chatted throughout the night, laughing, sharing thoughts, and simply enjoying each other's company. The attraction between them was obvious, despite the 33-year age gap. Alejandra later said their karmas were drawn to each other the moment they locked eyes. She knew what it meant to be with a Hollywood star. She also knew the age difference was significant, but because their connection felt real and deep, they ignored the obstacles and focused on making the relationship work. Still, the relationship wasn't easy. It was long distance. They barely got to see each other because they lived in different countries, Spain and the US. Plus, they had children from previous marriages to care for. Alejandra admitted they could only meet every 20 days or so, usually when their kids were with their ex-partners. It wasn't ideal, but for love, people do unthinkable things. This went on for years until Richard asked her to move to New York with him.
I'm really exploring
I know
new
what you're
territory.
doing, and I probably know why you're doing it. What's your greatest anxiety?
And she did. This marked a significant moment in their relationship as they started living together and built a life side by side. The beginning of forever. Richard and Alejandra dated for 4 years before Richard proposed on her birthday in the romantic village of Saint-Paul-de-Vence, France. Alejandra described it as one of the most emotional and romantic moments of her life. And in April 2018, they got married in a secret wedding at Richard's ranch outside New York City. Only close friends attended. Alejandra later shared a few rare photos from that day. One showing her in a V-neck wedding gown with a sheer lace panel, her long brown hair braided softly down her shoulder. That photo marked the first public confirmation of their marriage. The public was shocked and wished them well in their marriage, while many felt the marriage wouldn't last. After the wedding celebration in April, Alejandra and Richard had another celebration to mark their union. In May, they hosted a larger wedding party on Cinco de Mayo at Gere's estate in Pound Ridge, New York. Several monks were present, as both Alejandra and Richard had embraced Buddhism. For Alejandra, this was a significant shift. She hadn't always been Buddhist. She was raised as a Catholic, but she converted during her relationship with Richard. She believed she had always carried Buddhist values inside her, especially the belief in reincarnation, and the path felt natural, not forced. A year after their wedding, Alejandra became pregnant. She posted the news on Instagram with a photo of the Dalai Lama placing his hands on her baby bump. She explained that they had first received his blessing before announcing the pregnancy to the world. Alejandra took her Buddhist faith seriously, practicing it with intention and devotion. It was beautiful to see that love had led her not only to a new relationship, but to a new spiritual path as well. In February 2019, their first son, Alexander, was born. In April 2020, they welcomed another son, James, though they chose to keep his name private. During their second wedding anniversary, Alejandra shared more photos from their big day. One revealed a second outfit change.
Beautiful. Hi, I'm Rachel.
Alejandra, nice to meet you.
You look stunning.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
A champagne-colored gown with a lace overlay, a belted waist, and a flowing tulle skirt. Richard wore a classic black suit with an open white shirt. In her caption, Alejandra wrote, "Today is the day I married the most wonderful man I have ever met. I know it sounds cliché, but it's true, comes from my heart. I'm so proud to be with you, to share this life with you, to be the mother of our children, to be your friend, to be your wife." Still, despite all the love, the age difference between them has always drawn attention. In an interview, Alejandra said the age gap didn't bother her. It had to be this way, she said, and added that Richard had promised her at least 20 good years together, and she believed him. She also joked that Richard wasn't human. His energy was so incredible that she struggled to keep up with him. Alejandra went on to describe Richard as the most humble, sensitive, affectionate, attentive, funny, and generous man she had ever known. Her words revealed how much she loved Richard Gere. In response to her words, Richard said he was the happiest man in the universe. He married a beautiful woman who is smart, sensitive, committed to helping people, who's fun, patient, who knows how to forgive, who's a great cook, and who makes the best salads in the world. It was heartwarming to see how they spoke about each other with such warmth and authenticity. While some believed their public affection was just a media stunt, an insider later confirmed their love story was as real as it gets. A close friend of the couple confirmed that Richard Gere and Alejandra Silva were deeply in love and extraordinarily happy. He said they were so comfortable with each other.
Didn't you see her? She's a ballerina and I missed it.
And it was obvious in the things they did together. He noted that they loved to have fun together and were genuinely excited about the future. Richard and Alejandra were also spotted in public at a local ice skating rink, holding each other close and keeping warm while watching their son learn how to skate. But that wasn't all. Another close friend mentioned that Richard seemed much happier in this phase of his life compared to earlier years. He was enjoying what he did, felt settled, and carried a quiet confidence. The friend credited Richard's transformation to his long-time practice of Buddhism and his passion for humanitarian work, both of which were supported wholeheartedly by Alejandra. With her by his side, he was free to continue doing what he loved while being uplifted by her support. Love had transformed Richard's life, and in Alejandra, he had found someone who shared his passion for service and compassion. Alejandra runs the Rice Foundation, a nonprofit aiming to eliminate homelessness in Spain within 5 years. She often speaks about her mission and has expressed a deep desire to help the homeless in her country and bring about lasting change that future generations would benefit from. In August 2024, when Richard turned 75, Alejandra celebrated him with a touching tribute on social media. She shared how, even after 11 incredible years together, it still felt like the day they first met.
So in the continuing search for a memorable evening, I'm just gonna sparkle this one up a little.
She reflected on their journey, the family they had built, and the life they were still shaping. It was heartfelt and emotional, a sneak into a marriage rooted in love and respect. 3 months later, Richard announced that he and Alejandra were moving back to Spain with their children. They were leaving the US, and he explained that the decision was for Alejandra. Her family, friends, and culture were all in Spain, and he believed it would also be good for their children, especially since they were bilingual. It was a quiet but powerful act of love, a man choosing to move across the world not because he had to, but because love had made it feel right. Shortly after the announcement, a photo of the family in Madrid surfaced online, marking their official relocation. While promoting his upcoming romantic comedy, Maybe I Do, Richard opened up about his marriage and the personal lessons he had learned along the way. He spoke about the realities of marriage, noting that it wasn't always easy, but it was worth the effort. He believed that love and communication were key to making things work. Considering his past, his reflections carried weight. Richard had already been through 2 marriages, and this phase of his life felt different. He explained that relationships are complex because people are constantly evolving and learning more about themselves. He and Alejandra often checked in with each other to make sure they were still aligned and still growing together. He described how sometimes couples realize they've grown apart, that they're in different places, and in those cases, there may no longer be a reason to stay. But with Alejandra, that alignment was still there. It wasn't just love, it was effort, reflection, and an ongoing commitment. The world may have thought Richard Gere had already lived his best years, but it was clear this chapter of his life with Alejandra Silva was something else entirely. But before this love story, Richard had been married to other women. Wondering who Richard Gere married before he met the love of his life? Stay tuned as we unveil them. Richard Gere's failed marriages. Richard's marriage to Alejandra Silva is his 3rd. His first marriage was to supermodel Cindy Crawford in 1991. It lasted only 4 years. They had met in 1988 at a friend's barbecue and were instantly drawn to each other, despite their 17-year age gap. Cindy was at the height of her modeling career, gracing the covers of Vogue and other major publications, celebrated for her brown locks and unforgettable smile. Richard, meanwhile, was gaining major recognition in Hollywood and had recently been nominated for a Golden Globe for Pretty Woman. From the outside, they looked like a Hollywood power couple. But things weren't perfect behind the scenes.
Rather than treat them. I don't think it's good enough, not by a long shot. Do you?
In an interview about her rise to fame, Cindy talked about what her relationship with Richard was like. She said, "In the beginning of a relationship, when you're a young woman, you're like, you like baseball? I like baseball. Oh, you're into Tibetan Buddhism? I might be into that. I'll try that." One is willing to kind of mold themselves around whoever they're in love with, and that was what she did. She molded herself around Richard, forgetting that she had her own identity and her path. That created a power imbalance because she always bent herself to fit into his world. Over time, that took its toll. She started to feel lost in the relationship, and that eventually created a wedge in their marriage and led to divorce. Cindy also explained in another interview that the divorce had a lot to do with her mindset changing as she approached her 30s. She was growing, becoming more confident. She didn't want to be quietly tucked behind someone else anymore. She wanted to stand in her power and feel connected to herself. But doing that in her marriage with Richard was hard, because she could no longer continue to be the same woman he knew her to be in the past. Cindy had evolved, and the new Cindy didn't always fit what Richard signed up for. Cindy admitted that she wanted to lead too, not like in her 20s when she followed Richard everywhere. She wanted to walk side by side, not behind. She said Richard was a very smart man, and she learned a lot about the world through him. But it got to a point where she had to move forward with her life and find someone she could truly grow with. But even after all that, it seemed the marriage left a lasting mark on her that she hated to remember. In 2015, when Cindy released her autobiography, she left Richard out completely. She never wrote anything about their marriage. When asked why she had excluded her marriage to Richard Gere from her biography, she said she would have included it if there was something people could learn from it or benefit from. But she also wanted to be respectful, so she didn't include. That said a lot. It was clear they had drifted too far apart. Still, life went on. Not long after their divorce, Richard started dating Carrie Lowell, the Bond girl actress and former model. They began seeing each other in 1995 and later got married in 2002. In a quiet ceremony at their weekend home in Pound Ridge, New York. Only 2 guests were present at their wedding: their son Homer, who was born in 2000, and Carrie's daughter with her ex-husband, Hannah Dunn. Soon after, Carrie stepped away from Hollywood and focused on raising her children and working on ceramics. She opened a studio in upstate New York and another in Montecito, California. But their marriage didn't last. Carrie claimed their lifestyle difference affected their relationship, and she couldn't deal with it anymore. This made her file for a divorce in 2013 after 9 good years of marriage. Carrie liked going out, being around people, and staying active socially, while Richard preferred staying home and enjoying quiet time when not filming.
Not unless you sign that.
This leaves me with nothing.
I think you'll...
That difference slowly tore them apart. But their divorce wasn't a smooth one. The divorce dragged on for years. Richard and Carrie fought in court for 4 years over Richard's $120 million fortune before finally reaching a private agreement. The details of the divorce were never made public. After the split, Richard didn't rush into anything. He didn't talk about marriage or settling again. He focused on his own space and healing until he met Alejandra Silva. She came into his life about a year later. They started dating quietly, and before long it turned serious. They eventually got married, and now, 11 years later, they're still together. Richard, now 75, and Alejandra, 41, live in Madrid, Spain. Richard has said he moved there because that's where Alejandra feels most at home, and her happiness is his happiness. He also said that loving Alejandra came naturally. It was easy. From the beginning, they felt like soulmates, seeing the world the same way and having the same values. They were both shaped by their pasts and seemed to meet at the right time. Alejandra said Richard is a present, loving father who reads stories to their children and makes time for them. He's not just a good father, he's also a caring, supportive husband. Though things didn't start well for Richard in love, with 2 marriages ending, it seems like this final chapter is his best. With Alejandra, he's found peace, purpose, and real love. What do you think of Richard's confession of Alejandra Silva as the love of his life? Do you think their marriage would last or end like his former marriages? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.